What's going on, guys? It's been a while since I put a video out. I've been kind of doing some things, so I'm adjust my camera real quick. Uh, I've been kind of off doing my things with school and work right now, and with COVID, so I've been kind of dead on the car. But also something's happened to the car, so I haven't really been making many videos with it because of that, and it's been a little depressing. But basically, car's here. It's running, it's working, but there's a small issue I have, and I'll try and keep it short, and then we'll go into detail when I actually do mess with the issue on it. But I've been having a small issue with my oil pressure, and I have an oil pressure gauge and I have an oil temperature gauge. My oil pressure has dropped about 10 psi, and that's in like cruising and wide open throttle. It's a little more fluctuating, and it's about 10 psi lower than what it normally is. Now, is that within spec? Sure, it's still good, but it's the fact that it dropped tells me something's different. So the car has been kind of just sitting because of that, and I wanted to look into what's going on, and some issues of what I thought it could be. Quick thing as I thought it would be is the turbo. So the seals on the turbo could have gone bad, and if it's burning a lot of oil, which we'll talk about in a second, then that, in a sense, could cause some pressure drop if it's burning that much oil. So it's been sitting, and I've been just a little discouraged. Plus, I've had a lot of other things to focus on, and I really want to get some of the other tuning stuff. So I've been kind of doing more of that, putting things together and organizing myself for tuning videos. So let me catch you up on what's going on. Today's Tuesday. I got back yesterday. I went up to the Georgia mountains. The car I thought was okay. I did oil change, pressure went back. The car's been sitting for months. I haven't made a video in a while. The car's pretty much been sitting for months. I put a new clutch in there and whatnot. I started to make a video for that, but I didn't get it out there, and things messed up with the camera, so I didn't get a full thing. But I had to put a new clutch in it. So I went to drive up to Georgia. This is in like Helen, Georgia, up in the mountains, so it's a good 8-hour drive. I got about a 5-hour drive in, and the check engine light comes on. So I checked the access port, and we're looking at the what was it called? The intake cam was intake cam solenoid or something like that. I believe it was, or it was saying it was off. The code is like P0011 and I think P022. So that's for the right and left bank. I did a little more looking into it. That's for the AVCS system. So pulled over to the side of the road, did a quick look up on it. Come to find out, that's what controls the cams for the advancement of the intake. My oil pressure was again down about 15 psi, and my oil temperature was actually dropping and going lower. So this was about 300 miles into my drive of about 600 miles, and this happened. So I pulled it over, I took a look at it. I noticed I was about I don't want to say a quart, maybe less than a quart low in oil. I mean, I've had to put oil in there constantly, but I've known that I've had some kind of oil consumption issue, but not enough to, because I don't drive the car very much, so not enough to be too big of a concern until I'm ready to redo the car. But obviously I haven't driven this far and this long, so it consumed a decent amount of oil. So I topped it up, and I continued, and I cleared the code just to see, and I continued driving. Well, the code came back about 20 miles later, and then after that, the code kept coming back faster and faster. My oil pressure was down to about 65, where it's normally at like 80 under cruise, and my temperature was actually lowering. So when I'm at about 210 degrees in the temperature, I was at about 195 degrees, 190 degrees. So my oil temperature was actually going down lower, which I'm still trying to figure out. In my head, if you have less oil or something's going wrong, it would get hotter or it's not flowing. But that's something I have to think about. So I decided I had to do something about it. In the end of the day, my trip wasn't ruined. I took the car to the dealership just to have them read the code, if they could do any diagnosis on the system real quick. And they said the system was working fine. The car is in great order. There's no damage to the car at all, but there's something going on. You need to take a look at it. So I said, the car's modified. I don't expect you guys to work on it. So I rented a U-Haul. I'll throw a picture up there, but I rented a U-Haul and a truck, and I drove the car all the way back yesterday while still enjoying my trip up there with some friends. and it sits here right now in the garage. So the funny thing is, at lunchtime today, while I was at work, I decided to take the car out for a drive. Well, no issue at all. It still boggles my mind. I took the car out, started it up, took it out for about a 10-mile drive, about 25 minutes, and no check engine light, no oil issue, no temperature issue. Car was running like it was before. So since this is something I do with tuning, that's just kind of why I want to go into this a little bit. I checked the tune. I checked to see if that was the issue. The Subaru dealership mentioned that since I tune it myself, it could be a tuning related issue. And a friend of mine also, mechanic friend of mine also suggested the same thing after giving him the symptoms and stuff. So I checked my stuff and looked over what could affect it, but my AVCS tune is not actually adjusted. A little bit on the top end, but for the most part, I have not touched the AVCS tune. It is pretty much like stock. It hasn't, so that really couldn't have affected it. So I have to look over to the Axis Tuner software to see if anything else could affect it and see if that could be the case. But as of right now, back in Florida, at this elevation, at this temperature, the car is working just fine. Hold up. We're gonna try this again. So I'm gonna cut this part into the video. The previous stuff I recorded, and I was ready to release it, and then I realized I fixed the issue in the car. So let me just kind of cut into this video and explain what's going on here, right? So like I said, we had an issue with the AVCS going off, right? At this moment, the car is not working, and I'll explain exactly what I noticed. I did some research online. I started deciding I was going to tear out the whole car. I was going to look at the AVCS systems here and here, figure things out. I did take this side out, and I did look at it, and everything looked good. And in the banjo bolts, there is no filter. That's the part of the issue, is that a certain filter inside those gets clogged. So I checked this side, looks good. AVCS solenoid looks good on this one, so I put it back together. I took it for a drive and everything was good. Well, I did a few other things online that I decided to look at. One of the codes that I was getting was a misfire, but also not just a misfire, but I was also getting a voltage message about the AVCSs, saying it was a high voltage. So I did a little bit looking into those codes specifically, just those codes. And the one thing I noticed was that it was related to the connection, the power to it. So on my access port, because I didn't have my computer hooked up to it, I added the AVCS in and out. Now on those things, they were reading 0. Now they weren't reading the numbers they were supposed to. So maybe these aren't getting power. Great, that could do it. Well, without going into detail, without looking into the car, the simple thing I saw on the internet on 2 posts, and I'll try and find them again, on 2 different posts on NOSAC, North American International Subaru Owner Club, or whatever, the main website, they said, check your grounds. Check your grounds, check your grounds. So I was like, my ground should be fine. I would have issues with, all my systems over here, and my systems over here, I would have issues. But then I was like, nothing else is throwing codes here. I don't think it's a ground. But I did have a misfire. So a misfire, okay, well, they all run on the same wiring harness that goes in the middle that feeds back into the engine thing over there. Well, let me just show you what I found. And if we zoom and come right on in here to this guy, and you're probably seeing it right here. This is one of 2 grounds on the intake manifold. When I came to this guy, I noticed this. Obviously, I unloosened it to show you, but I had tightened it to test it. So this guy has been backed out. It's loose as can be, and it's just floating around there. That's my issue. That was it. All that. Every single thing. So we tighten it down. Put a wrench on it. We'll give it careful little turns because this is an aluminum block, but enough to tighten it. We're good. So nearly $1,000 later, and rent-a-car fees and gas in the U-Haul and gas in the rent-a-car and gas or in renting the rent-a-car and the U-Haul, and then renting the transport to get the car back here, and all the extra stuff and extra food I probably had to buy, and extra gas I gave some friends that drove me around and stuff while we were up there. All that for that guy. So after all that stuff and all that time and money, everything came down to a simple bolt. A simple bolt. And a ground coming loose causing those issues. Now the dealership didn't catch that. I didn't catch that. My buddy didn't catch it. The mechanic friend that was with us didn't catch it. Although he didn't get to look at the car very much. But the dealership didn't catch that, which was interesting. This was a 4.9 rated with like 5,000 stars in Atlanta Subaru dealership, and I trusted the guy. But you know, that's what I'm saying. Things can happen, and it can become a big problem. And we always push ourselves to go to the most extreme version of everything that happens. And the classic occasion, I thought the engine was blown. I thought the journal bearings were bad. That's why I lost pressure and stuff. But in the end, it was a simple bolt. So I've been driving it for about 50 miles or so. No problems, no issues. The car is running like it was right before the trip. So I do want to go back. I want to enjoy this car in the mountains. So hopefully I can get to do that again soon. With the car being back up and running and that actually being the issue, because it's gotta been coming loose for months now, because I've been having this low oil pressure issue without the check engine light for a while, which means that system's been flaking out for quite some time. So I mean, I know everything else is good, but there you go. That's it. So I want to get back to making some more videos, so that should be a new thing. I have no more parts to put on this car. Really, honestly, I don't. So hopefully get back more into the tuning, to get more detailed on that. I've been seeing some comments come in from everybody asking some questions, wanting to know more about simple things in between. So I'm gonna try and focus on that. I realize that I'm putting a more detailed look onto tuning, which is fine and all, because there is some people out there that are more advanced at tuning, but I think my target audience initially is going to be the very beginner, the very first time someone wants to start the tuning. So I should probably get into some more the ideology behind the tuning than some actual doing it first, and then show you why that we do that. So maybe we'll spend like a whole episode or two just on boost and just how one part works and just how that part works, and we'll go into detail on it. So that's something we'll look forward to. Again, like I said, I've been putting it together, so you should see some more videos coming out here soon, and we'll keep things going. So I'll see you guys later.